Okay, am I back? Okay, look like I'm coming back. I don't know what happened. Lewis said, what happened? I don't know what happened. Twin was talking. My screen froze up. He talked for a little while longer, and then he said something, and it repeated him like 3 times. And then it dropped his call, and then my whole system shut down. And then I had to restart. Sometimes I told you I had some issue with the computer this weekend, and so my guess is that's what happened. I'll have to fix it. I haven't taken the opportunity to come down and fix everything yet, but yeah, I can't have this happening. So, all right, it looks like we're coming back. Looks like we're coming back slowly but surely. We are getting back into it. Sorry about that. Sorry about the technical issue. I apologize. But yeah, I don't understand, well, not all, I don't understand, what is wrong with look, y'all, if a politician tells a lie, even if you like that politician, there's nothing wrong with saying that was a lie. That's what a lie is. It's a lie. He told a lie. You don't have to try to justify the lie. But what he really meant was, he's fairly capable of communicating what he means. He told a lie. Well, see, but it is the law that say, but that's not what he said. He told a lie. Well, okay, we all understand that ain't no doctor in the school giving, so then say, he told a lie, because we know ain't no daggone doctor in the school giving people gender reassignment surgery. It's called a lie. Just say the man lied. Now, if you want to have a different conversation about some bill that was passed in this state or that might get passed in that state or the way that teachers are influencing young people, that's a different conversation. Have that conversation. Here's how you do that. Look, Donald Trump was lying about kids going to school, getting gender reassignment surgery, and then coming home and their parents wasn't consulted. But here is a bill that was passed that I think is dangerous. See that? You acknowledge the lie, and then you go on to have what might be, what's the word? Substantive conversation. Okay, Donald Trump lied about kids going to school getting gender reassignment surgery. Clearly he lied. But there is something to be said with the influence that teachers may have over young people. But, well, no, he wasn't lying. He was just trying to steer the discussion in a different, he ain't lying. He just trying to bring up so people paying attention. Well, no, he ain't lying, because it is this bill that say this, and it's not the same, but it's worse. No, he ain't lying. He's being figurative with his language. Like, no, that man lied. For the life of me, I don't understand how y'all twist yourselves into such a pretzel. Instead of just acknowledging, really, that dude crazy. And he a liar. And I'm not a part of whatever his group is. I'm not a member of his cult. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. Then it shouldn't be hard to say that the man is influencing people to do negative things. But that ain't his fault. That's the people doing the thing. Like, come on. Come on. Twin says, you lied about Pete Rose's band issue. What did I lie about? You can call back because your call got cut off. So if you wanted to call back, and I would love for you to call back and tell me what you believe I lied about. That'll be interesting to hear. I have an idea of what you think I lied about, but I would love to hear it from you. Because in my world, words actually do matter. Like, y'all, for real, we have created a world where words don't matter. This was literally, y'all, if y'all were listening earlier, y'all might have heard this. You too busy listening to the words that come out of his mouth instead of trying to hear what I think he might have been trying to say. How dare you listen to his words and then judge the meaning of his words? Ain't nobody listening to his words. What? Ron, why don't you just go ahead and call? You know you want to. Get it over with. Get it over with. Take this ass whooping like a man. Just get it over with. It's ridiculous for you to consider Trump a liar and then come on Harris and the Biden administration you let pass. I don't understand what that means. I don't even want to say it. I did not come on Harris or Biden. I didn't. Trust me. Mrs. Livingston would be really upset if I did. I don't know what you mean by that. You might have missed the earlier part of the show. On the earlier part of the show, because I try to be consistent, I acknowledge that everybody lies. I believe everybody lies. Most of us are amateurs. A lot of those women, they're pros. Women and regular politicians, they flip that switch to the pro level. Trump, he on All Madden. You know how on All Madden you be playing them? And you can't do nothing. You can't run the ball. You can't throw the ball. I ain't played Madden in years, and I was never really good at it. You can't run. You can't throw. You can't stop them. You can't stop the run. They run you over. Like, boom. And then you get the next dude. Boom, boom. He broke 17 tackles. There's only, 11 dudes on the field. How he breaks 17 tackles in one scoring run? Just because that's what they do on All Madden. That's Trump. He is on All Madden level line. So I acknowledge that politicians are on that pro level, and a lot of women. Not all of them. You got some good ones. But a whole lot of them. The majority of them. They on that pro level. Trump is on a whole different level. But I'm not gonna lie. I get discouraged and disheartened listening to the people tie themselves in knots trying to justify the lies. They won't say that's a lie. They won't say he made that up. They won't say that's not true. What Trump said is not true. Y'all know that's what I really be trying to get them to say. And maybe if they actually say it and hear themselves say it and know that what they're saying is actual and true. What Donald Trump said is not true. Then maybe they'll be like, hold on. If I can acknowledge that what he said is not true this time, maybe I'll listen to him differently moving forward. And I'll actually listen and see if what he's actually saying is true. That's my hope. If I can just get one of them, to say it. What Donald Trump said is not true. It's not that hard. All you have to do is listen to, but you listening to his words. I'm supposed to be listening to what? can't listen to the words that a man say. I'm supposed to listen to his heart. Like, I don't get it. Nate. Oh, hold on. Some settings might be everything's shut down. I might have to go in here. Let's see. Nate. Hold on. Don't go nowhere. No, I wouldn't want it to. Okay, I don't know. Nate? Okay, hold on. Oh, all my settings done messed up. Nate?
Are you still doing the show?
Yes, okay, I can hear you now. Yes.
All right. For some reason, my feed dropped about 10, 15, maybe even 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, something happened. My entire system shut down just out of nowhere, and I had to reboot everything.
Aha. But it's not me and you. It's me, you, and some people are still here with the podcast.
Yes, the podcast is back up.
All right. Okay. If you don't mind, let me make an announcement. Tonight at 7 o'clock, I'm going to go live. I'm not trying to do a podcast, but I am doing a live. So if you're not friends with Nate Livingston or my professional page, Nathaniel Livingston, with a yellow background, do something to make sure that you can see this live at 7 o'clock tonight. Now, I want to talk about something that happened today. It's on my mind, and I think it goes along with what you were talking about before the feed dropped. And that's about Trump, Biden, but I want to give another a spin on it. So,
all right.
I came. Number one, I'm with one of your nieces. She's in the car with me. Child number 5, and I'm sure she says hello. Now, I'm in the car with her, but I just came from federal court. We have an activist up here named Sir Major Page. I might have mentioned him to you off the air a couple of times. This guy, to as briefly as I can, by an all-white jury of basically fraud and wire, what do you call it, wire money laundering, and the wire fraud, money laundering, crime.
Okay, you're breaking
Nobody
up.
was hurt.
You're breaking up. So you said that there's an activist up there that has been convicted by an all-white jury of money laundering and wire fraud.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
So he goes back. He went to court today for sentencing before the very white judge, federal judge. The politicized Biden Department of Justice asked for this guy to get 85 months in prison. The judge, after a long lecture, and really he kind of wasn't lecturing to me.
Okay, you broke up again. He wasn't lecturing the activists.
Yeah, he was more or less lecturing the black community. And his point was, I gotta give you this jail time, this prison time, which am I breaking up again?
Just a little bit. Go ahead.
Oh man, maybe I need to stop and because I am driving and talking. But his thing was, I want to send a shut his mouth. I want to send a signal, but he didn't say to black people, and he didn't say to the community. He said, I want to send a message to anyone who would think about committing crimes like these. Now, the crime was this guy set up a organization called Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. He's from Toledo, but he spent a lot of years down in Atlanta where he became an even better and more famous activist, right? So he sets up this Facebook page and this nonprofit organization, Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta. Well, at some point in time, he decides that he's going to relocate from Atlanta and he's back home to Toledo. When he gets to Toledo, the whole George Floyd thing happens, and donations to Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta just go through the roof. I think he wound up collecting like more than $200,000. It was some pretty significant amount of money.
Okay.
Well, anybody who knows about nonprofits knows you got all these rules and regulations, and in order to get donations, you got a whole bunch of hoops you got to go through. And the bottom line is this particular, and of course, nonprofits are supposed to be not about one individual. They're supposed to be about a group, which is why I get so mad when people be like, oh, you could just set up an LLC corporation. No, it ain't that simple. Even though a lot of people do that, and then if they ever come into a significant amount of money, they wind up with IRS problems or sometimes with DOJ problems. But so anyway, so he comes into all this money. He hasn't properly handled his paperwork. His 501c3 has been defunct because he ain't keeping up with the paperwork, again, because he ain't really raising no money through that nonprofit. So he gets all this money, and on top of that, he's relocated to Toledo.
Okay.
So now people are giving him all this money. So the feds somehow get a call from this white girl, which is sort of a hint. Whenever you make a white woman cry tears, I think they even got a term called white tears. When the white girl gets offended, if she call the police or the feds in this case, they gonna look into what did your black ass do to make this white woman cry and contact me. And so, let me add this. Sir Major is my friend, but he's one of these prickly kind of people. The guy can be a real jerk. He can be a real, might be kids listening. Let's just leave it at a jerk. He can be a real jerk sometimes, and especially if he thinks you offended him, he can call you names. He can go, and so the feds put a case on this guy. Let me add one more thing. He took the money. He contacts attorney. He says, look, I don't want this nonprofit no more. I want a for-profit corporation, so I don't have to follow all the rules that you have to follow when you're a nonprofit. I want to pay myself a salary. I want to be able to buy some property. So the attorney tells him, I'll help you do the paperwork, and it'll be like your nonprofit corporation, Black Lives Matter of Greater Atlanta, just basically as a wholly owned subsidiary, which is a for-profit. And apparently, according to this lawyer, you can do that. So they set up the paperwork. So Major transfers the money that he raised through Facebook for the nonprofit to the wholly owned subsidiary, which is a for-profit. He buys a house that he says is going to be like a community house. Hold on one second. All right, so he buys this house with the money that he's raised. He says this is going to be a community house. I don't know, but he apparently has seen this in Atlanta and in some of the other cities that he had visited. I'm looking at it like this. Remember when Steve Bannon was accused of having a nonprofit that was going to take money from people so that they could build the wall, and then come to find out they took the money and they bought, I believe they bought a yacht. They bought a whole bunch of stuff, paid people some great big salaries, uh, uh, and then before he left, Donald Trump said, "Oh, that's my friend, and they might not have did the paperwork right, but I'm going to give him a part." And now my understanding is, and I'm going to research all this before 7 o'clock when I go live, I believe the final thing was some state people said, we're going to go after him on state charges. Remember, you might remember when Donald Trump had a nonprofit corporation, a 501c3, up there in New York. Him, I believe his daughter and one of his sons, at least one of his sons, they was accused of taking the money and stealing the money and not doing what they said they was going to do when they collected the money. The Biden Department of Justice did not go after Donald Trump and try to get him 85 months in prison.
So your concern, it sounds like, and of course, we don't know this guy, but it sounds like your concern is, he's maybe he deserves to be found guilty, but he's being treated unfairly because of the color of his skin.
Well, but I disagree with the setup. I don't think he should have been found guilty. See, this is the thing. And maybe this will fall on deaf ears for anybody who ain't never been involved in a community organization, who ain't never been involved in a nonprofit, who ain't never been involved in an activist type of organization. There basically are we don't have mentors to come and say, this is how you got to do the paperwork. This is how you got to do the money. And so anytime you give black people money, one of the things that the telephone twerker always throw up about Al Sharpton is, he throw up a couple of things, but one of them is, remember when he didn't pay his taxes? He still owe taxes to the IRS. Part of it is, when you get one of these nonprofits, especially if you ever make it big, and people start donating money, and this might be a overused phrase, the white man start giving you this undeserved scrutiny. They over-prosecute black people, and they under-prosecute white people. Whereas the white people, a lot of times, if they get a nonprofit, well, maybe their mama had a nonprofit, their daddy had a nonprofit, so they have mentors. They have people who come and say, be careful with this. It's a minefield up ahead. Just don't do this. Don't do that. Black people don't have that. So I'm going to give you an example of something that I criticized them for, but it could have been a very innocent oversight.
Baby, bring me that phone real quick. Go ahead.
When Chris Smitherman and oh my God, who's the black economics guy?
Klingman.
Jim Klingman took over the NAACP, which is I don't believe they're 501c3s, but they are nonprofits. I think they're 501c4s, which is another part of the tax code, but it's basically irrelevant. They are still nonprofits. There's different restrictions on what they can do and what they can't do. Anyway, they took over the NAACP. Now, I know, because I'm a paralegal, because I've been involved in a number of activist organizations, and some of which have gone on to get nonprofit status, I know if you are in leadership of a nonprofit, this applies to churches too. If you are the pastor and you raise money and you got, say, a scholarship fund, you're not supposed to benefit from the scholarship fund. You can't take the nonprofit money and then go say, well, I'm going to create a scholarship fund and I'm going to use it to go back to school. And you can't give it to your immediate family. So Jim Clingman them, Jim was in leadership. I believe he was either the first or the second vice president. And they came up with this bright idea that, hey, we're going to give out college scholarships. And guess who got one? Jim Clingman's daughter. Stuff like that is against the law. It makes you look crooked. But the Department of Justice don't have to go after every violation. And so I don't believe that what Sir Major did, following the advice of his legal counsel, was necessarily illegal. But the jury, the all-white jury, disagreed. So here we come today to the sentencing. I just think it's, number one, we have to respect the jury's decision, but I think they were dead wrong. I don't think that the Department of Justice had to bring this case. And so I'm worried that somebody in DOJ headquarters is not saying to DOJ, we got to be cognizant of how stuff looks. It just looks like we go after black people because in Toledo, just like in Cincinnati, we have 4, I think I told you in your audience the other day, we got 12 members on our council. Y'all got 9. 4 of the black council members up here got indicted. Not by the state, not by the county prosecutor, but by the Department of Justice. So in a short amount of time, they've gone after political leadership, they've gone after activist leadership, and before that they went after some ministers. So, and y'all gone after our religious leaders. To me, it sends a message, if you dare to go into leadership, the DOJ might come after you. And I think that that's something that by now, surely the Biden DOJ has heard. See, they've heard from the conservatives. Y'all ran a politicized DOJ. But either they haven't heard from black people or they don't give a damn about black people saying, yeah, and y'all running a racist DOJ too.
Nate.
Because y'all coming after our black leaders.
But Nate,
and
look,
yeah.
I get it. I understand what you're saying. But one legitimate argument that could be made is, if you don't do nothing wrong, don't matter if they come after you, they won't have no evidence to prove that you did anything wrong. Like, they would have to make up some evidence. And based on what I believe I heard you say, he may have done some illegal stuff.
Well, check this out, and I should have asked you to pause before you made that so I didn't forget. Even though I didn't have COVID, I sometimes have brain fog and forget where I'm at. I chalk it up to being 55 years old. So I've been trying real hard to understand where these black Trumpsters are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And so one place where I'm doing my independent research is on Twitter, where they got a lot of black Trumpsters and they don't even call themselves conservatives, but they got a lot of black people who pushing Trump. And I'm like, okay, all of this ain't fake. I know a lot of it's fake, and I know a lot of them is getting paid, but there are some legitimate black men who are buying into this. And I really believe that this is one of the reasons why. It's like somebody gave me what we used to call back in communication class a startling statistic. And I believe, and I didn't commit it to memory, but I believe it's 1 out of 3 black men in America either is or was a convicted felon. 1 out of 3. And it might be even larger than that. So to go to the reason I raised that is to what you said. Do we really believe that it's that many criminal-minded and criminal, what would you be when you go from criminal-minded to criminal action? Criminal action, black men in America, is it something about black people that makes 1 out of 3 a convicted felon? That's if I got the number right.
Well, no, let me accept the number as factual, okay? And I guess the answer would be yes. It's that many criminal-minded and criminally active black men, okay? But now to your other point, I think probably the number would be if the focus was on white people, 1 in every 3 white men would be a convicted felon, which I think goes to your point. They're really focusing, for whatever reason, on black people. But at the same time, mom and daddy,
especially in leadership.
But at the same time, mom and daddy used to tell us, you can't do everything that white man can do and get away with it, because people are watching you, and you got to conduct yourself like you have to be above reproach. You have to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. So I think that's something that we need to take on, instead of just thinking, look, he did it. He broke the 501c3 law. He broke the LLC law. He broke the donations law. He bought a house. He gave a scholarship. But I'm not going to do it, because if I do it, they coming after me. It's not necessarily fair, but it's still America. It's the way we got to operate. I'm not saying don't fight the fight to make it even, to make it fair, to make it equal. I'm not saying don't fight that fight, but until you've won that fight, you got to operate as if you're not going to win that fight.
But 2 things. On the political side, but if you're trying to appeal to black men, if you haven't just written us off, you would think somebody over the last 4 years would have gone to Merrick Garland and said, hold on, man. We got to have an examination of what we're doing. And it does, from where I sit, it seems like they haven't done that. Number 2, maybe this is the paralegal in me, maybe this is the activist in me, but I know I've seen, and I've heard even white people say, look, bruh, if I am in charge, if I'm a prosecutor, and I put somebody on you, who was it that said Scotty Johnson had somebody follow them? And we kind of chuckled about it. This is on the Liquor Ware Show a couple of weeks ago. Oh. Who am I talking about? Anyway, if I send a person to, I'll use another example. At one point in time, Al Capone, the Fed had put a person on him. So everywhere he went, they wasn't even hiding. They was like, we gonna watch you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If somebody put a prosecutor on you, I can catch you doing something. Even if it's jaywalking, even if it's sitting on the sidewalk, because that's still illegal. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I watch your finances, I can probably find somewhere where you. I heard you talking earlier before my feed cut off, talking about how sometimes people tell a little lie here and a little lie. Some people tell a little lie on their taxes. Maybe some people tell a little lie on a loan application. Maybe some people tell a little lie. You get what I'm saying? When you go apply for a credit card, technically, if you lie about your income level, I believe they can consider that wire fraud. My point is, almost everybody commits some kind of crime every day, multiple times a day. And I just think if they can do it to Sir Major, to the council people, to I know y'all, a lot of your people who listen don't like Kelly Fraser. If they can go after Kelly Fraser, if they can go after, I can almost guarantee you, sooner or later they're gonna come after Alicia Reese because she's doing a whole bunch of stuff that, to my naked eye, appears to be very illegal, and she ain't even hiding it. She's doing it out in the open, kind of like I'm above the law. If they, how many of our leaders do they have to get to send a message to us? Because I ain't gonna lie, I ain't scared. You know, I poke my chest. I ain't scared, but I ain't gonna lie, I am a little worried. Even speaking out, I spoke to the newspaper man at the court, and I've been real silent because I don't want my words to come back and hurt my friend Sir Major. But I had to think before I spoke to the newspaper, like, is they gonna come after you next, Nate? Is they gonna find something? And then the people gonna be saying, well, you didn't do nothing wrong. If they wouldn't be able to find nothing. You ought not to be scared. I think the average person, it's a reason they got that term, they're doing this to chill free speech, to chill your activity.
But look,
because
I'm not
is a scare.
I'm not disagreeing with you that yeah, you follow me around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you probably find where I did something wrong. Okay? I'm not gonna disagree with you. But you said something to the like, how long, what did you say? How long before we come to the conclusion that something or another? But look at the other side of that. How long before, and I'll use your Alicia Reese example, if they come for Alicia Reese, you'll look at what did they come for Alicia Reese for? And if Alicia Reese got $200,000 to build her a house illegally, that's different than, you know, she fudged the number on her credit card application. You know what I'm saying? Those, they ain't the same. And one of them will stick out like a sore thumb. Like, hold on, y'all are coming after County Commissioner Alicia Reese because she said she made $2,000 more this year than she did actually make, as opposed to, oh, hey man, I didn't know Alicia Reese was kind of embezzling $200,000 to buy her house. Those are different. So yeah, they could catch you on something. If they get Alicia on jaywalking, I'm marching for Alicia. Leave Alicia alone. Why y'all messing with Alicia? If they get, you know what I'm saying, something like that, but if they get Alicia for stealing $400,000, Alicia, why did you steal $400,000? You know what I'm saying? There's a line, and we have to acknowledge that line. I agree. It's not, the Justice Department is probably very much not, and somebody need to, if they haven't, I'm sure they probably have, they just don't care. Somebody has brought it to their attention that this is what they doing. They know what they doing. But if we know what they doing, you gotta be the one to say, like me, if they get me, it's gonna be on something super minor, or they had to make something up.
I feel compelled to throw this in here. I am still voting for Kamala Harris. I still believe that Joe Biden has done a good job for black people. I could go down the road. Everything from the first black woman on the Supreme Court, first black woman as the vice president, $16 billion for HBCU, $2.2 billion for black farmers. Did I mention Juneteenth already? I read somewhere the most black small business startups through the Small Business Administration than in any time in history. They got a whole long list of good things that they have done and that they are doing. And I just read earlier that they won, they sort of won in court on student loan debt, which we know has uh, uh, a disproportionately positive impact on black women. So they're gonna get that student loan relief kicking back into gear, and that ought to happen before they leave office. So a child tax, income tax credit, which put $250 per child, which for these big old families wind up being a lot of money every month, a check in your pocket. So I'm not saying that. I guess what I'm saying is, personally, I think something's wrong, and even if they didn't believe it, it just seems like politically somebody from the White House would have put pressure on the DOJ to say we got to listen to these black men because this is one of the things that they've been screaming the loudest, and not just listen. We got to do something about it. We are over prosecuting people, especially black people and especially black men, and it shows up in the numbers. Um, I had one more thing, but again, I wish I was somewhere where I had a pen and a piece of paper. I would have wrote it down. Something you were saying about Alicia, and then just like the DOJ, uh, and you were saying, oh, I think, because I don't know if you got this point. Maybe you did, and maybe I just seems like you maybe brushed over it. We always used to encourage people who were sort of in the peanut gallery to, as Barack Obama said it, if you don't like what leadership is doing, pick up a clipboard and run for office. Get it, as Louis Farrakhan said at the Million Man March, if you don't like what the organization in your community is doing, either go get involved and become part of leadership or go start your own. I'm saying I think it sends a chill through black people who watching this to say, nah, I don't want none of that smoke. I ain't ascribing to be in no leadership position. Let me share this with you. Just like I called you on your podcast and asked you about city council, I called some other people in the city who I know who I thought would be a perfect fit. Do you know, a number of them told me, man, I don't want to do that because that put a big target on my back. They'll come after me. They'll look for something on me. I'm saying I think that this stuff is deliberate to squash black leadership in its tracks. You don't want people to say I want to be a black leader because they'll say, man, I done watched y'all take down too many so-called black leaders, and I don't want y'all taking me down. I don't want y'all finding nothing on me. I get what you're saying, and of course, we grew up in the same family. I heard the same lessons from mom and daddy, and I try my best to live a crime-free life. But I'm just telling you, I see something going on. Maybe I see it differently. Maybe, again, this is falling on deaf ears. I just think it's something to be concerned with, and I just think it's politically stupid to have them going after people for a victimless crime and a nonviolent crime. I thought we had kind of come to a consensus because not just on your podcast, but I listen to a lot of shows. I used to be actively involved in a number of national organizations, and I thought we had kind of, as a black community, come to a consensus. Look, jail and prison should be reserved for violent people with victims. And in the case of Sir Major, this is basically a white-collar crime that, and I can hear somebody out there saying, well, I thought we wanted white-collar crimes to be treated just like these blue-collar crimes. So I know it's arguments on both sides, but I just thought that we were like really strong on, the 13th Amendment says that basically once you commit a crime, you become a legal slave. So slavery was not ended for everybody. There was a loophole that says If you can convict them of a crime, then at least for a temporary, they become slaves again. And
Well,
I
you
thought we said we're against slavery for we only want slaves for
Nate,
violent criminals who have victims.
Nate, you going on live when?
7 o'clock.
What?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. I have my arguments tighter, and I'll lay them out better than I have on this phone call. But I'm real hot about it, and I don't know. I'll be interested to hear. You got to go off on it. It's what, 5 o'clock?
Yep.
Has Key called in yet?
No.
Key, I'm asking you to call in and lighten my mood up because I need to hear you laughing. Ken. I'm really bummed out about this. I just think it's bigger than Sir Major, even though that is my friend. I just think something's going on, and I can't. I've done a poor job of identifying what it is, but I definitely think it's happening.
All right. All right.
Thank you.
All right. Take it easy. All right. I don't know, Sir Major. Got to be careful how you move. It does it put a target on you? Maybe. I believe if you out there running around, you know what I'm saying, as an activist, yes, there's a target on you because you're saying to the established power, we don't want you to do what you've been doing, and if once you push against them, there's an equal and opposite reaction. You know, for every action there's an equal, so they gonna push back on you. Don't have that thing, whatever that thing is, there for them to push that back on you. I think that's the answer to that, as well as, you know, the other piece. Brian.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Not bad, man. I had to call in because I know a little something about this general issue. I'm not going to comment specifically on Major. And I do believe that there is disproportionate sentencing on many, many different things, and this is no different. So I'll start by saying that. But I have to take issue with the idea that this is victimless. I'm not going to call it a crime because courts do that. Government does that. They make everything criminal. Crossing the street can be a crime that they can collect money for. So, but this is not victimless. You make a grip of money. Let me start by saying that I was a founder of an independent organization here that was called Black Lives Matter Cincinnati. Very early, we divided ourselves from the national organization publicly. Took no help, no money, no resources, no nothing from them because I felt like, and I was one of the founders, I felt like they were unprincipled and deviated from the course that this movement was started on, which is the fight against police brutality. Later, we changed our names because it was so egregious things they were doing, we didn't even want to be even roughly associated with them. But I want to say that in the course of these things, people got killed a lot over the time that we were an organization. And people contributed quite a bit to the organization to help us organize things. But what did we do? We took the money and we gave it to the families because that's what people were trying to do when they gave money not only to us, but to the Black Lives Matter organizations around the country. Somebody gets killed, well, how can I contribute? Well, you send it to this organization that every newspaper says is the organization against police brutality, when in reality, their goals were other than that, as we can see now that they've cashed out. So that's my first thing. You make a whole stack of money, and then you decide, oh, I'm going to set up an independent, I'm going to make a business now. How does that work? And even if what you're using the money for is good, it doesn't matter whether it's good or bad, technically. If people gave you money because George Floyd was killed, How the hell are you not sending that money to Floyd's family or to other families who are victims of police brutality who have tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars in court costs? That's what that money should be for, not some other project that you've been dreaming about doing, whether it's positive or negative for the community. Is neither here nor there. That's my opinion. And that's what integrity means. If I start an organization that's for lost dogs, and then people give me, oh man, we love lost dogs, and then they give me $100,000, and I decide, well, you know what? I really want to now take that money and do some other positive thing in the community that's not directly related to dogs. I'm sorry. It's a bad look for the community. Leave aside what the law says. It's a bad look. And it's why people always say that organizations have ulterior motives. So it ticks me off. I'm not going to go long. I'm going to say one more thing, and then hopefully other people comment. Maybe I'm hoping that Nate is taking this respectful if he's listening, because I'm not aiming this at him. But this is my pet peeve because I dealt with it on a national level. Fought with these individuals who were basically using the name of these families to steal money. Not saying at all that this brother's doing that, but it is adjacent and it bothers me. And it deserves a community conversation. I don't want the cops or the courts to do anything to this brother other than maybe make sure that money goes where it's supposed to go. But I'm not for them jailing him. I'm not for any of that kind of stuff. But the last thing I just want to say is, like, the reason it siphons the energy. It siphons it now allows people who are pro-cop, and I mean it, let me not say pro-cop. It allows people who come up with Blue Lives Matter slogans and things that counteract police brutality to now point at this and say, see what this is really about? That's my biggest issue with it, Nate, and I'll just leave it at that because other people might have to talk, and I know you got to go, but I appreciate you doing the program. I was listening, but I just could not let that go.
All right. I appreciate your call.
Have a good one, man.
All right. Yeah, I'm about to get ready to get out of here. I got some stuff I have to do. I got to edit a video, and I'm afraid now my system going to crash on me. I have to save often. After every edit. Save. Probably something I should be in the habit of doing anyway. I appreciate all of y'all. Brent?
You ain't got nothing to do, Tommy. You ain't got no job.
What's on your mind?
Nothing much. Yeah, with the Black Lives Matter organizations, and the way they were set up from the beginning, unfortunately, was doomed to have confusion and the issues that they had. Because the way I understand it is that Black Lives Matter, the name could not be trademarked, meaning that anybody could go out there and create an organization. So that's why you had the national organization, and then you had all of these other local organizations, which some of them were tied to the national organization, but some of them weren't. And, typically what you have, like with the way the NAACP started, it started with a national level trademark name, and then if you wanted to be down with NAACP, say in Cincinnati, you got to go back through them, agree with all the charter information, and then you can operate under that umbrella. So, once you started people sending money to the national groups and then some to the local groups, and you don't have that level of accountability, and they were just unfortunately doomed to have the issues that they had. And I think they had like $8+ million that they got from mainly from corporations and everything. They're paying their guilt money, which is what I call it, because most of those organizations that donated that money and had DEI programs, a lot of them companies done trashed them and then gotten rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I want to say with that one. So words no longer matter.
They don't matter anymore.
All it matters is what you think in your mind that the person is actually saying, then that's what's actually true.
Yes, what they're saying,
Is that
and
my
not
understanding?
what they're verbally saying, but what they're
Mm-hmm.
mentally attempting to communicate. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
and
need to
I
read
could,
their mind.
yeah. So that's how a lot of these fake prophets be getting over folks that follow them. Because even though the prophet can be very specific about their prophecy, they can then make it up in their mind that the prophecy wasn't September 25th. It actually happened a day earlier on September 24th, which everyone heard the prophet say September 25th. So it's easy to see how folks like that can then be, confused and bamboozled by everything that Trump is saying. So, it's not that whole thing with do as I say, not as I do, type mentality. But, they're just a bunch of, in the words of Glenn, a bunch of smart dumb cats out there that it doesn't matter what they say. They already have the position, and whatever their leader says that may differ from their position, they will bend themselves into pretzels trying to figure out a way to make it still line up so that they don't, have an actual criticism of their leader. Because one thing I know with a lot of Democrats, we don't mind criticizing Democrats, even some of the stuff that Kamala Harris has done. But those Republicans and those independents that claim to be Republicans, you ain't gonna ever hear them say a mumbling word against Donald Trump, because it's all a part of it, how they stay in their good graces.
Yeah,
And
they definitely go out of their way to make sure that they're not saying anything negative. Like, they're gonna defend him. They're gonna,
mm-hmm.
like we heard today, all of the twisting and knots and. Well, this is really what he meant. Well, this is what he said, but this is worse than what he said, or all of that kind of stuff. Like, it's not gonna be he lied. What he said was wrong.
Yeah, when it should just be that simple.
Yeah.
It really should just be that simple. And you have a family and I have a family, and I think we both want our children and wives to have a great Christmas. What I want to know is, how can I be down? We're in election season. I will create as many burner accounts as it takes and have them, they can give me a list of stations to call in to where I'll start off with, well, I was just roaming the dial and I happened upon your radio station. And then from there, I can go off of the script that's right there in front of me. Because words don't matter. I can just say whatever I want to, and do they get paid by the comment? Do they get paid by the call? How does that whole cost structure work? Because that may be a profitable side gig. So LG, if you're out there, call back in tomorrow and let us know how that whole game works. Because if not, if you're not getting paid for this, then maybe you the cheapest hoe. Maybe we can displace Wyatt for that. But
I don't subscribe to that at all.
Look, the man said it himself.
I know what he said. I know what he said.
Oh, no. You got to go by his words, because words matter. Come on.
All I said is I know what he said. I know what he said.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that there is a way to. I don't think you get paid from the perspective of, say I'm a Trumper out there and I'm, calling all the radio stations and laying out my pro-Trump points. I don't get a check.
Mm-hmm.
But what I do get is, number one, I might get a little notoriety because, I'm special. I'm not like those black people. I'm different, Number two, I think then, maybe I set up a consulting business or something like that. And what I found a lot of times not a lot of times, but what I've seen happen is sometimes you're basically building up favor. And now, because I'm this ultra conservative black man, where you might not normally come to a black man to ask him, about how to run, let's say, your political campaign. You'll come to me. You don't really need my help running your political campaign. Yeah, you might need, I hate the term, but you might need a token in. You know what I'm saying? I can be your token in. And you
Right.
comfortable with me being your token in because you heard me on 700 talking about how great Donald Trump is. And so that way money comes my way. And it's basically off the back of, me riding Donald Trump hardcore,
Well, look, you don't even have to sing the praises of Donald Trump. All you got to do is dog out the black woman.
That too, yeah.
That is it. So you could somehow, well, no, you can't even keep your integrity because you dogging out a black woman that could be your auntie, sister, whatever. But yeah, but and did LG? Well, we'll come back to that later. But he also talked about said influence. Trump didn't have, just because Trump told him to do it, he ain't got no accountability. Well, tell that to Charles Manson, who died in jail when his followers went out and killed, what was her name? Tate? I don't even know what the lady name
what was the lady name? I don't remember.
I can't think of her name. But yeah,
Tate.
They have
Tate. Sharon Tate?
Sharon Tate. Yes, Sharon Tate is her name. But
and of course, LaBianca.
Yeah. But Trump has no accountability at all. But these, what he started off the call with, these teachers that are influencing the mind of these children so that then they think that they are a girl, but they're really a boy. They are all accountable, and we got to do something about it. So is it just Donald Trump that has no accountability, but everybody else has to be accountable?
Because I'd let that sit out there by itself. But yeah, at one point, what Trump say to people, as in terms of influencing them, don't matter because influence ain't a real thing. And then the next breath, but them teachers are saying you can be anything you want to be, and it's influencing those kids, and that's evil. Is influence, is bad influence bad, or is bad influence not bad? Well, for Donald Trump, it's not bad at all. For somebody else, anybody else, well, people who are influencing people to do stuff that I don't want them to influence them to do, that's bad. And it just, there's no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not, it's hypocritical, but that wasn't the word that I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, it's a bunch of cognitive dissonance where they up is down, left is right.
Consistency, that's the word I was looking for, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no consistency now. Yep, none of that either. But yeah, enough about politics and everything. LaDonna, I think I saw in the chat early on, it's time for the wrestling report. And this is NXT and AEW edition. I know you say you don't watch NXT, and I'm only watching NXT when I'm on the couch dozing in and out of consciousness while my sons watch it. But I did wake up and see that the women were beefing with one another and they were fighting back and forth. And then all of a sudden, you hear that a storm is coming. And whenever I hear that, I'm thinking, okay, where is Sting or where is Glacier? Because that's how their music used to start. But it's Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. They come out and clean house. So now that they've switched over from, what were they? They were USA, and now they're on the CW network. They've been bringing in all the big name people to try to make sure the eyes are going to the CW, because I don't think it has as much of a reach as USA Network did. Right. But also in the main event, they had, it was Trick Williams, which is one of Booker T's favorites, versus All Eagle Ethan Page. Ethan Page was the champion. He won by Trick Williams knocking him out and then getting knocked out of the ring. He falls on the guy, wins the belt. But special guest referee was CM Punk. And Trick Williams regained the title. So got a black world champion. Well, he's the second-time champion from there.
All right.
But jumping over to AEW, I remember the last time I told you that MVP showed up to challenge Prince Nana for not, properly managing Swerve. Well, MVP was out there and Prince Nana rolled up on him. He was like, look at here, I used to be a wrestler and I will put my singlet on and we can get in the ring and we can fight it out. And MVP was like, whoa, no, I'm sorry, I don't handle the complaint section. He handles it, and he pointed behind him. And who debuted in AEW? None other than Shelton Benjamin. So I'm glad he was able to get on with another organization, and so there'll be some type of feud there. But Shelton Benjamin.
They say they bring him back to Hurt Business. Of course, they can't use the Hurt Business, but they've trademarked another name for it. I can't remember what it is.
Yeah, so Bobby Lashley is probably coming in.
Yeah.
So they're building up that slow. And the WWE dropped the ball on that one. They should have kept the Hurt Business together. Not the Hurt Business 2.0, but the original one.
Yeah.
But they really dropped the ball with that. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. And, Shelton Benjamin had a nice career tag team wrestler. I think he was Intercontinental Champion one time.
Uh-huh.
But he will never, ever, ever live down when they stuck him with his mama or his wrestling mama, Thea Vidal.
I don't remember that.
You don't remember Thea Vidal being his mama when he was the gold standard?
No.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, I will find some clips because it was absolutely horrible. I'm like, what's Thea Vidal doing here? But she played his mama. She came from South Carolina, and she would wear a muumuu and glasses and a bonnet. I think she was wearing a bonnet before bonnets became the thing.
Oh, yeah, no. Now, Steban wanted me to ask you, did you watch the Mr. McMahon documentary on Netflix?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
No,
I watched it. You ain't missing nothing, just so you know.
Is it the one produced by Mr. McMahon?
No.
Okay,
It's the one that Mr. McMahon apparently is upset about. He tried to buy it so he could kill it. But, like, when I tell you, there was no new ground covered whatsoever. Like, none.
Okay.
Nothing they said where you were like, oh, I didn't know that. Zero. It was all stuff that we've all heard. Just Vince McMahon was there kind of almost narrating it. It was nothing.
Yeah, so it's almost like the Freaknik documentary.
I didn't see that.
I was watching it to see whose mamas and aunties and which important people were in them documentaries, and now they got to see what happened was, and try to explain it. But they didn't talk about much of nothing in there. They talked about the inception of how it started as a small picnic and then evolved to what it was. But in terms of, the more salacious side of things and actually putting people's names out there, they didn't do any of that. So
yeah, that Vince McMahon.